All right, hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to take some time and talk all about Gather Round Homeschool. Now, about a year ago, after completing just 2 Gather Round units, I posted a review video here on YouTube. A few weeks later, I posted another video that was just a Gather Round Q&A session. Little side note, if you have watched either one of those videos, thank you. Thank you for bearing with me. To be really honest, those were some of the very first videos that I ever created, that I ever posted here on YouTube. And when I look back at them, I cringe. I cringe at the lighting, at the graphics, at the sound. I have learned a lot by trial and error over the last year. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being patient. Thanks for putting up with not the greatest circumstances. Anyways, since then, our family has completed many more Gather Round units, and so I think it is time for an update. So I am sitting in my favorite comfy chair. It even squeaks a little bit when you rock, so if you hear some squeaking, that's what it is. I have some coffee. Let's just have a chat about how I am feeling about Gather Round Homeschool these days. All right, so if you are new around here, my name is Sarah. I am the homeschool mom of 5 kids. They are currently ages 13, 12, 7, 3, and 18 months. We are currently finishing our 9th year of homeschooling, and I thought that I would just share with you all of the Gather Round units that we have completed or that we are currently working on. I wrote them down here in my son's Baby Shark notebook. Got this from the Dollar Tree, isn't it awesome? Because I knew I would not be able to remember all of the units. So I'm just gonna read these loud, and I'll make sure to put a graphic up here so you can see them as well. We started with space, and then Asia, human body, oceans. We did the government mini unit, Africa, the Christmas mini unit, and then currently we are working through artists, a New World U.S. History mini unit, and we just started Earth Science. So that is a total of 10 Gather Round Homeschool units. 7 of those are full units and 3 of those are the mini units. All right, so have you guys noticed that everybody seems to be a little bit curriculum crazy these days? Let's just be really honest. As homeschool parents, our feelings about curriculum can change. When we first get a brand new curriculum, when we order it, we're excited about it. We're optimistic. We think it is going to be the perfect fit for our family. Otherwise, we wouldn't have spent all of that money on it. And then we bring it home. Those first few weeks you use it, your kids are excited, you are pumped, you're finding this groove, and it's just working out so great. But then maybe a month goes by, and the newness of that curriculum starts to wear off a little bit. Maybe your children start to lose interest, or a part of the curriculum is really challenging for them, or maybe not exactly what you thought it was going to be. And suddenly you start second guessing yourself, and you start wondering what other curriculums are out there, what could solve all of our homeschool struggles. Is there some other curriculum out there that would be a better fit for our family? And so then, if you're anything like me, you start researching. You start looking on YouTube, on Rainbow Resource. You start looking at all of these different sites, looking at other curriculums, even other complete styles of homeschool, to see if there is something that might work a little bit better for your family. I definitely struggle with this. Do you guys struggle with this? If you do, leave me a comment down below. Let me know that I am in good company. But I have spent many of hours lately looking into homeschool curriculum. If I'm completely transparent with you guys, I have felt all of these things about Gather Round over the last year and a half. Yep, I have loved it. I've gotten bored with it. I have second guessed myself and wondered if this is actually the right fit for our family. I've been tempted to chuck it out the window and try something else entirely. But then I have come around full circle, and I remember and remind myself that there is no perfect curriculum out there. There is no curriculum on the market that is going to solve all of our homeschool struggles. There is most likely not a single curriculum out there that is going to be a complete, perfect fit for our family. We can't put that much pressure or power on a curriculum, on something that is meant to be a tool in our homeschool. I also think that a lot of us need to spend a lot less time looking into homeschooling, researching curriculum, and spend more time actually homeschooling our kids. This is something that I have struggled with over the years. I will spend hours upon hours planning and researching and looking into all kinds of things we can do in our homeschool. And sometimes I spend more time doing that than actually sitting down and homeschooling my kids, actually sitting down and doing that math lesson or doing that history lesson. I'm so concerned to look around at what everyone else is doing and scroll through Instagram feeds that I don't actually spend the time homeschooling my kids. And maybe if I spent a little bit more time homeschooling and a little bit less time researching, maybe some of my homeschool struggles would solve themselves. I'm just saying. So, no matter where you are in Gather Round Homeschool world, whether you are just starting out and you've just purchased your first units, whether you have a few units done and you're second guessing yourself, or even if you have maybe a full year in and you're wondering, should I ditch this? Should I try something out? I hope that I have a few pieces of encouragement here in this video for you today. So overall, I have definitely come to the conclusion that I love Gather Round Homeschool. This probably is not a surprise to you, but I do. I love Gather Round Homeschool. It is not perfect, but it is a great fit for our family, and I have fallen in love with this curriculum for so many reasons. First of all, I have learned that our family loves unit studies. It is a great fit if you have a family that has a wide range of ages. So for us, who have teenagers all the way down to toddlers, Gather Round is a wonderful curriculum because it encourages us all to gather around together and work on at least a portion of our homeschool together as a family. I am able to teach things to my 13 and my 12-year-olds while I'm also able to incorporate some fun activities for my toddler. It's just been so great to really help us formulate and structure some family subjects and family learning. Another wonderful thing about Gather Round is that my kids are bought in. They love Gather Round. They are excited to know what unit we are going to start next. They are also so proud of themselves when we complete a unit. It's just a win-win. And I feel like getting our kids excited about their curriculum, getting them bought in on the curriculum, that's half the battle in homeschool sometimes. So this has really worked well for us. Also, as I've mentioned before in other videos, the fact that we are only studying a unit for, 5 or 6 weeks means that our homeschool is constantly changing. We are always doing something new. Things are always refreshing themselves. And this has just helped things not to get boring, not to get monotonous. Even if there is a unit that maybe isn't one of my child's favorites, they know that we are going to move on to something else in just a few weeks. And so this really encourages everybody just to have a good attitude about school, and we're definitely enjoying it more. But like I said, Gather Round is not perfect. There are definitely things about it that I have had to tweak and kind of make work for our family as we have gone along. Now, the first thing I want to address here is definitely a hot button issue, so please be nice to me in the comments. I'm just sharing my experience and how things have worked for our family. All right, so is Gather Round enough? Well, I definitely think that this answer varies depending on your homeschool, on your teaching style, on your kids. For us here in the Ralston house, I'm sorry to say, no, Gather Round has not been enough on its own. Now, you always are supposed to pair math with Gather Round, which we do, but I still find it necessary to supplement with some other subjects for each one of my children. And now this varies depending on the child and depending on me and what I am wanting to accomplish for the school year for my kids. But no, Gather Round has not been enough for us. Now, that being said, Gather Round is very open about the fact that it is a minimal style of homeschool. And let's face it, if you have been around my channel for any amount of time, I'm not a minimal homeschooler. I'm just not. You can see that in my plan and prep videos. I like to do stacks upon stacks of books. I like to have lots of activity options and different things to offer for my kids, games and art projects and things like that. I am not a minimal homeschooler. And so for me, I definitely supplement, especially with language arts. Personally, my kids definitely need more structure when it comes to writing, spelling, and grammar instruction. And so we supplement with a lot of different language arts curriculums. But that's because my kids need that. Your kids might not. Your kids might, do just fine with Gather Round as is. Like I said, I feel like this is a very personal question, and it will definitely vary depending on what style of homeschooler you are, what kind of personalities you have in your home, both with yourself as teacher and with your kids. So Gather Round may not be enough for us, but it might be more than enough for you. I just squeaked the chair. Did you hear that? Sorry. Okay. Anyways, another struggle that we have been having with Gather Round, and this is something that I mentioned in our mid-year update. I'll make sure to link that video down below for you. So I won't go into too many details about this, but we have struggled with the middle school notebooking pages. There's a lot of reasons for this, but honestly, just to cut to the chase, I think that the pages in the middle school notebooks are too dependent on research. Many of the pages are asking your child to go and research a topic and come back and write a paragraph or a couple of paragraphs about it. For example, if you're studying oceans, one of the pages might ask your child to go and research tides and then write a few paragraphs about it. And then they may ask you to go and research a famous oceanographer and write a couple paragraphs about him. And honestly, our family is, what's the word I'm looking for? Not strict, careful. We are careful about the internet research that our kids do. We monitor their use of computers, of their time online. So requiring them to do a lot of internet research was it was a time sucker. It was taking up a lot of my time and a lot of their time. And they were kind of getting bored with it. They felt like it was very monotonous, that they were kind of asked to do the same thing over and over and over again. Even though it was different topics, they just got a little bit bored. And I know this is an important skill for my kids to learn, especially as they are getting into high school and going to college, learning how to look up information and research it and then write about it. This is a really important skill. I just didn't like the amount of times they were being asked to do it, every single lesson, sometimes multiple times a lesson. I firmly believe that with homeschool curriculum, you really have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. You have to take the parts of a curriculum that are working well for your family and use those, hold on tight to those. And whatever isn't working for your family, just let it go. I have just this year finally found the confidence to skip parts of curriculum that are not working for our family. Skip entire lessons. Cross out a page if you don't want to do it. Curriculum is supposed to be a tool that is working for your family, and you should never feel like you are a slave to it. All right, sorry, had to sit in the same position too long. I gotta change things up a little bit. All right, moving on. So let's talk a little bit about how long it takes us to complete Gather Round every day in our homeschool. Honestly, this has definitely depended on what unit we are studying. Obviously, the full units take a little bit longer than the mini units, but just as an example, I'm going to go through how long it has been taking us on a typical day to get through a full unit. So let me just break it down a little bit. First of all, I would say it takes about a half hour, a good 30 minutes for me to teach the lesson, to read through the teacher guide, to stop and ask some review questions or ask my kids for some narrations, to kind of model for them how to take notes and to help them fill out that first page in their lesson. All of that takes us about 30 minutes. It then takes us about another 30 30 minutes to complete the rest of the notebooking pages. After that, I would say we spend about 30 minutes reading aloud from those living books or stacks of books that I share in my plan and prep videos, as well as, going down any rabbit trails, watching a YouTube video if my kids want to that's related to what we're studying that day. We spend about 30 minutes doing books and rabbit trails. Lastly, we spend around 30 minutes doing extras, working on a diorama, doing an experiment, doing a puzzle or an art project, going outside and working in their nature journals. Just about a half hour doing any extras or hands-on activities that I have planned or paired along with our Gather Round lesson that day. So all in all, we are working on Gather Round for about 2 hours a day, 3 to 4 days a week. We normally work on our full units 3 or 4 days, and then we'll do our mini units 1 or 2 days a week. Something else I wanted to talk about regarding Gather Round is the style. I've had some questions and some people ask me if Gather Round is Charlotte Mason in style. And my answer is kind of. Honestly, for many of the units, at least the ones that we have done so far, the teacher guide can be a little bit dry. It can definitely read like a textbook or like an encyclopedia. Now, I have noticed this can vary depending on what unit you are doing, and sometimes it varies from lesson to lesson. I have noticed that the newer units are better about this. In particular, the U.S. History unit that we are working on, A New World. This is the first U.S. History unit that's out. It's a mini unit. This unit reads much, much better. I wouldn't call it a living book by any means, but it definitely reads less like a textbook. Now, I am not exclusively a Charlotte Mason homeschooler. I've said many a times on here that if I had to categorize myself, I would say that we were eclectic homeschoolers. We pull a lot of different things from a lot of different homeschooling styles. But there is a lot about Charlotte Mason's style of homeschool that I love and that I enjoy and that I implement into our homeschool. And so there are some ways that I make Gather Round a little bit more Charlotte Mason in feel. First of all, I heavily focus on narration, both oral and written. As I am reading the teacher guide, I will pause and ask my kids to give me a narration of what I just read. I ask my middle schoolers to write out a written narration of what I read at the bottom of their notebooking pages. I also supplement with a lot of living books. As you can see from my plan and prep videos, I always have stacks and stacks and stacks of books to go with each one of our units, and so I'm really purposeful about trying to pick out titles that are living books and will bring the subject matter to life for my kids. I also try to add on a lot of hands-on activities, outdoor time, and nature journals to go along with our Gather Round units whenever I can. Now, some units it's easier to do this than others. Right now in earth science, it's really easy to utilize our nature journals a lot and to do a lot of hands-on activities and go outside and study the earth. But other units can be a little bit more difficult to implement some of these Charlotte Mason practices. And as I've said before, Gather Round is a new curriculum. It just seems to keep getting better and better every unit we use as we move forward to some of the newer units. I think as Rebecca and her team are getting their feet wet and getting comfortable, it just gets better and better. And so even though I'm mentioning some of these things that might sound a little bit critical of Gather Round, it's improving. And again, we love Gather Round. We're not going anywhere. Sorry, I got a little frog in my throat. Sometimes filming these takes me a while. It's a lot of talking. Okay, so moving forward, obviously we are still going to be using Gather Round in our homeschool. You guys can tell my love affair with Gather Round. It's not going anywhere. I plan to continue to use it as the core structure to plan our unit studies every 6 weeks or so. Now, Next year, we may try to tackle fewer units and dive a little bit deeper in them, spread them out, maybe even let them go a whole 8 weeks. I'm kind of thinking that through, but I definitely don't want to rush. These units are so great. They are so jam-packed, and there's so much opportunity for me to beef them up in a lot of ways that I'm thinking moving forward, we might try to do less in order to do more. We will definitely continue to supplement along the way with math and language arts, and then maybe even some other subjects if need be. All right, so if you are interested in Gather Round Homeschool, I would encourage you to head over to the website. I will also make sure to link down below my Gather Round playlist that includes all of the videos that I have done in the last year involving Gather Round. Make sure you check those out. But I would strongly encourage you to try Gather Round for yourself. On Gather Round's website, there are free samples that you can download and print out and try for a week at home for free with your kids. I feel like 5 days will be enough time and give you enough of a flavor of Gather Round that you will be able to decide pretty quickly if it is a good fit for your family. If it is, great. I would love to hear about it. I'm always looking for new Gather Round friends. And if not, that's okay too. That is the beauty of homeschool. We get to find what works for our family, what curriculum best fits our kids, and go from there. If you enjoyed today's video, please take a second, give it a thumbs up, like it down below. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel. If you made it to the end of this video, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe. And while you're at it, leave me a comment. Doing things like this really helps our channel to grow here on YouTube. I hope that you are enjoying wrapping up your homeschool year. See you later.